Hi, and welcome into the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Wilgum, and we are broadcasting live from ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now 2015. Well, we just heard Hasso Plattner do his annual keynote, and it was another great, informative keynote about clearly talking a lot about S4HANA, SAP HANA, and a lot of interesting developments that's happening at SAP. So, what we love to do is have three of our board members from ASUG come in and just give us their reaction and what their takeaways are from the keynote this morning. So, to my right is Anthony Bosco. Anthony, welcome back.
Thank you.
Anthony's got a lot to say today, so can't wait to hear what you're going to say. To his right is David Wascom. David, welcome back to the studio as well. And on the end is Paul Fipps. Paul.
Good morning, Tom.
Welcome back. All right, so Anthony, I'm going to start with you. We heard it. You heard what Hasso had to say. A lot of stuff. He covers a lot of ground. What was your big takeaway that you would share with fellow members?
Well, I think that the good news is there was some news, but there wasn't a lot new. Mm-hmm. It continues to build on a theme that started a few years ago, which was the suite, HANA, speed, analytics, predictive analytics, and I think the good news is they're delivering on that vision. Mm-hmm. The thing that I like that Hasso had an underscore in, but I think it captures the whole conference, is a couple things. Number one, SAP is talking again about integration. Over the last couple of years, they've made a lot of acquisitions to really optimize their supply chain, their delivery of solutions and services. And what they really said is, you know, we understand we've got all these assets. It's up to us to integrate it and create the integrated enterprise again. That has always been in the DNA and the strength of SAP, and I'm glad to hear they acknowledge it. The other thing I thought was really good is a couple of years ago we heard cloud, cloud, cloud. Cloud is still a major portion of their vision and foundation. But they said they recognize a huge install base that has a lot of on-premise assets, and they basically gave you the Burger King line. You can kind of have it your way. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes a long way in reaching our members, and I think it was a result of a lot of feedback we've provided over the last couple of years. So I'm very happy about that.
Absolutely, that ASUG influence is key. Dave, what about yourself?
Yeah, more the same. Probably the most positive thing I took away from the keynote was that while HANA as a platform was certainly core to the discussion, it was not the core of the discussion. Mm-hmm. It's become more of, let's talk about this from a pure technology play, speed, performance, the benefits of having this new technology platform, to what can it enable? And to really start to redesign and how you think about your business. HANA went through this with the example with the folks at his institute in Potsdam, that how their conversation went from, if we had a no restrictions performance ERP system and they immediately jumped kind of to the database level from the technology, because it's very difficult to retool your thinking around what can those limitations and having the removal of those limitations do in terms of how you manage your process.
Right, that's a great point.
And so, as we look at the solutions and the things that SAP is providing, and the demos that we saw today around healthcare, perfect example, that now they can do things literally at the speed of their conversation. It's just the mind takes them to a place, and they don't have to process data for weeks, months, bring in a team of scientists, bring in a team of engineers to be able to manage that information. That's no longer the impediment, and so you can tell that story around the data using the tools that are now more of a mainstream in the SAP ecosystem.
Right, that's a great point too. Paul, what about yourself?
I think just to build off of what Anthony and Dave said, Hasso started off talking about from vision to reality, and so as Anthony said, 3-4 years ago, HANA's a vision, and you can start to see the capabilities that platform is enabling for all kinds of customers. I thought it was terrific that we started off with a demo from Colgate. I mean, the reality is data-driven conversations in the boardroom is what we've all aspired to for a very long time, and really haven't been possible. We do PowerPoints today, we do business reviews in a certain way. Being able to drill down and figure out where the challenges are as a collective executive team really hasn't happened. I mean, it's happened in some companies, but it hasn't permeated our user group or our community, and I think that was a great demo. And then, as Dave said, taking it all the way from there to the human genome, just incredible, in terms of the capabilities and the possibilities as that vision becomes reality. So I loved it. I thought it was a very practical approach to how customers and how companies are leveraging HANA as a platform, not just HANA as a database.
Right. Absolutely, and that's been a huge point this week.
And even to the point, it was an interesting point that Hasso made around PowerPoint. We all use, like it or love it, we use PowerPoint as a storytelling mechanism.
For sure.
And I can't think of a time ever when I've complained, my PowerPoint application crashed and that affected my ability to deliver that story.
Right.
But now, when we think in terms of, as technologists, about how do I collapse and consolidate my environment, to think of it that this even allows me to collapse that storytelling environment. So I don't have to pre-plan, I'm going to show these 4 slides in this order, and I'm going to go through this execution of the story, whether it's in the board or in my team meeting, wherever the place is. I can actually do that now with the live tools.
That's great. Well, also, I found interesting when he was talking about the nowhere to hide now. You can't just go in because that data is coming up. What about that boardroom of the future? How far are we out from that, the reality of that boardroom of the future that he painted? I mean, a couple of years, 5 years, 10, I mean, because it looks pretty cool, but, like you guys said, there's still a lot of spreadsheets in use.
Yeah, I mean, I think that answer depends. You can be there tomorrow, or it may take you 5 years. It depends on your approach and how you adopt. Right. But not from a technology perspective, but from an expectation perspective. What's capable today is available today. What's capable 3 or 4 years from now, you're going to have to wait. I've always believed as a philosophy, better is better. If we can do something today, and it may not be 360 degrees of how we look at things in the boardroom, but if you can get 20 or 30 degrees of that view today, take it. Why not? It's better. And then 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're 180 degrees, 190 degrees, 300 degrees. I think that's the key.
I think to say what Anthony's saying, version 2 is always better than version 1, right? And so as you iterate in that boardroom, that's how behaviors come along as well. So when we talk about the boardroom of the future, it's not going to be, one day we'll have 3 beautiful screens and going through with all these key performance indicators that you can drill down to that have, provide insights. It's going to be, how do we drive the conversation collectively as a leadership team in the boardroom? And I think that's learned behavior over time. So you got to start somewhere and get something up and running. But again, I think the capability, and Anthony said it well, what's available today is ready for today. It's just the capability hasn't been there. You can't click on something and have your CEO wait 38 seconds for the next thing to drill down to. Right. It's not going to happen, right? And so CEOs, as they get access to this information, they start to see it driving behaviors within their executive team, will ultimately drive that outcome. So it's I think we're close.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And the fact that Anthony touched on this at the top, that innovation has moved back to the forefront in SAP's mind, that as these solutions are developed, I mean, it's easy to look at it from a boardroom solution, looking at the things that we saw today in the keynote, but ultimately we still have to run our businesses, and the fact that they're developing through the S4 platform that's now sitting on, kind of the given solution of HANA, is going to give us this level of functionality, not only at the boardroom, but down at the plant floor, line of business.
Right. Absolutely, great point.
I think one other piece if I could add, Tom, is that there was a subtle message from Hasso to look at how we're doing things as technologists. If you looked at that kind of the third phase of his presentation, he started getting into some deeper technology parts of the discussion. And it was the way you look at application development, the way you look at database design, the way you look at kind of those core tiers has to change in order to actually take advantage of this platform. Yeah. If you do things in the old ways, right, and he talked about some very technical things that you could get into, then you're not going to get the optimal results from the platform. And I think that's for our membership, it's starting to think about how do you move from understanding I've always done things this way. Now in order to maximize the HANA advantage, I need to start thinking about maybe developing new skills around how I develop applications, how I do database integrations, whatever. So it was an interesting part of the presentation, but it was a very clear message to me that we all have to start shifting our thinking as technologists.
Great. Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Glad to hear from you, and we'll see you next time. I would be remiss if we didn't thank Anthony for his years of service on the board, and I've been a tremendous ASUG member, so I appreciate your service, and I know all our members, our fellow board members do as well, so thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
For more customer stories from customers just like these up on the panel, please go to asugnews.com.